We're on a resource hunt today, and there's the resource. Hey guys, well today we're gonna be making some cordage. First we're gonna gather the materials needed for it, and in this particular case we're gonna be using stinging nettles to make some cordage. Now if you saw my video, my bow drill video, where I did that with natural cordage, you saw that I made some cordage out of basswood bark. That particular cordage was kind of a rougher, very strong cordage, but kind of a rougher texture and not as finely processed as it could have been. The basswood can be soaked, I said this before in the other video, for a couple of weeks, changing the water and stuff like that, and the inner fibers will separate from the outer bark, and you'll get just pure you know, strands, nice good strands that you can twist together and make a little more well, less abrasive, finer cordage. It lends itself well to the reverse, you know, reverse wrap 2-ply cordage, and then wrapping it on itself so that it makes a nice even cordage. Well, nettle will do the same thing, and the processes that I'm going to use today come from my experience from a lot of different people and YouTube videos. Ray Mears did a real good video on it. Jamie Burley, I'm going to be using his splice, 1 Foot in the Wild, and just private messages between a lot of people. So, I mean, if you see a technique that someone else does or something, it's, you know, I didn't invent this stuff. I learned it from a lot of other people. So, you know, I watch a lot of YouTube and learn a lot of stuff, and then come out here and practice it. We'll get a close-up on these nettles. I did bring gloves today. I don't break out too bad or anything with the nettle. I mean, it hurts for about 10 minutes, maybe 15 minutes, and then it goes away. But still, if I'm going to be processing a lot of them, there's really no reason for me to mess with it barehanded. You can, you know, just walk up to it and pick a leaf off and stuff and process it that way. So long as you don't touch the leaf, it's not a big deal. But like I said, I want to process a bit of this stuff. Also, the stand behind me, I'm going to use what I feel like I need and then leave the rest. I'm going to leave the rest growing so I don't harvest it all and let it all kind of go to waste. I'm going to be using this cordage in a few different videos, I think. So I have high hopes for this cordage. So let's see if it works out. So I'm just going to go up and grab my knife, cut some stalks down, strip the leaves off, and I'll get back with you. Well, first I thought I'd show you the plant kind of close up. I'm sure a lot of people have seen stinging nettle. And I just brushed up against it several times with the back of my hand, and I didn't get any ill effects from it, but I have in the past. On tender parts, like the inside of your arm and whatever. So, anyway, this is what I'm going to harvest. Pretty tall, too. It's a good patch. Alright, well, I just thought I'd show something real quick. Now, I think I got just a tiny bit. Leaf kind of popped over here and got on my arm. But, you know, I get you kind of get to doubting yourself, because, I mean, I'm up here doing this and never felt anything. I've usually only felt it on my legs if I've walked by it, if I'm wearing shorts or something like that. I'm not going to get into it and rub my face all over it, but like I said, some people react more than other people. I know I've got a neighbor that just about freaks out if he goes next to it. I mean, he's like, oh my goodness, is that fireweed or whatever he calls it? It's, I don't know. To me, I guess I'll go to the inside of my arm. I don't know. I feel it there now. Now I'm starting to feel it, and I do feel it over here, but just a tiny bit, just like a kind of a tingling sensation, nothing real major, but no reason to play with fire. Alright, well now that we're back at the house, I'm going to squish them. Just kind of break them up. I'm going to, even if I miss something, you know, I kind of want to get the whole stem, but if I miss something, I don't want to miss one of these little nodes here, or the segments. I want to make sure and get the little, those little things. And unlike the basswood cordage, these fibers are on the outside of the plant. So you know, I thought about taking the stick and just kind of rubbing it along there to break it, but you know, if the fibers are on the outside, you don't want a braid on them and break them before you even get started. You want them as long as possible, obviously, before you get started. Alright, then kind of split it open. Okay, then break it, and kind of peel the pith away. I'm going to take my time, and you know, they're fairly strong, but I kind of want to get, like I was saying, as much of it off of there as I can without it breaking. Try to work it through those nodes, or segments rather. There, I didn't have to be as careful as I was being. Actually, I did. See, I saw Ray Mears just kind of fly through it, and he did get shorter sections, but I think if I would have been more careful, it would have worked out better for me, like I did on the first piece. Because then all these would have been on that. Okay, and even these pieces that, so here's the strands, okay. Now my understanding is you need to let this dry. That's what I've done in the past. You could use it wet like this, but it shrinks actually quite a bit. So this is just the first stage. I'm probably going to let it dry overnight and then start working on the cordage tomorrow. And I don't know if you saw in my other video, me making the mistake, maybe you didn't see me, making the mistake of setting it down on my concrete slab here. Well, there's a bunch of sand on my concrete slab, and when you weave that into your cordage, all you're doing is putting tiny little abrasions on it. So that was not very smart of me to do that. So I'm going to keep it up off the ground. I brushed it all off now. I'm going to keep it up off the ground and go set it somewhere and let it dry. Probably right in the sun, in the grass or something. Okay, well I'm getting down there on how much stuff I had harvested. I probably harvested about 20 nettle or so, and I'm sure many of you are aware of the fact that nettles are edible. You just have to cook them and then the stinging properties kind of go away. But anyway, you don't want these big old huge plants. I'm sure they probably are edible still, but they're stringy and stuff. And when I was harvesting these nettles at that big old patch there, I didn't want to go wading through it and, you know, get the nettles all over my arms and stuff like that, just to select the biggest ones. But, you know, just like when you go to cook something, if it's stringy because it's old, then that's a property that I'm using right now, you know, the stringiness or whatever of it. So in other words, what I'm getting at is the bigger ones had the best fibers in it, the thickest fibers, and the most of them. So some of these are a little smaller. Didn't have quite the yield. And I'll show you how much I ended up with here in just a second. I've got 2 more to split. In addition to this one. So I'm just gonna snap it, work it down. I'm going to save this piece because I think there's some fiber still along here and stuff that I can utilize. We'll see. You know, I got that big patch. I hate to waste anything, but you know, if it gets to be too time consuming or too much of a pain, we'll see if I end up using them or not. So they kind of peter out right there. I'll just break it again down here. You know, for sure that was worth saving. Not that. These little ones are going to be really tiny, not really worth it, but this one I think will be worth it. Alright, process the other 2 and I'll show you how much I got done. Okay, I decided to dry them just in my garage because I didn't want it to rain or something, or I didn't want to have to pick them back up again out from on the grass. Anyway, it takes a lot of nettles to get a little bit of stuff, and this stuff's going to dry up quite a bit. I think I'm only going to let it dry for 24 hours. I think I'm going to start working on my cordage tomorrow. What I'm going to be doing, some of the projects I'm going to be doing with this nettle cordage are projects that I want to be able to utilize my cordage within 24 hours. Optimally, I'd like to be able to use it, you know, right away. But if I have to wait 24 hours, I figure that's an okay amount of time to have to wait. Now with basswood, if I have to wait 2 weeks, that's not survival. That's like self-reliance or something. It's not survival. You have to think too far in advance to process that for it to be practical, in my opinion. I mean, it makes great projects and stuff, but I mean, as far as survival type stuff, it's impractical. So this nettle, if it dries within 24 hours and I can start using it then I figure that's practical. I could start using it now, but it does shrink down quite a bit, and it's a little, you know, it's green, so it's a little slimy, so it's not gonna have a lot of friction on the string, which I need for some of my projects. Anyway, 24 hours and I think I'll get back on it. Hey guys, well, it's day 2 or whatever from when I harvested these. First of all, I want to say that if you hear something really loud in the background, my neighbors must be building a pole shed or something. Some semi just came and dropped off some trusses, so sorry about that. Anyway, we're just going to get right into it. The nettle has dried a little bit. It's pretty good. It's not brittle or anything, but you can definitely tell it's not moist like it was. So normally what I like to do is I'll try to start off with some pieces like this, okay, and try to match them up. Hopefully that's focusing, I can't really see. And try to match them up. Like this one's a little bit thicker than this one, so I need to add something to this one. You know, another little couple of strands or something. Anyway. Let me see here. I'm going to double it up just with this and see if I can't get it started. And I'll get you a close-up of how I'm going to start on this. So I'm going to start off just like Jamie's video showed, and I'm going to make one side a little bit, one side a little bit shorter than the other side. Okay, this is how I'm going to do it, just like the Ray Mears or whatever video that I saw. Kind of, let me get started here and see if I can do it this way. See, I don't know what the heck he's doing over there. So I twisted both of the fibers, both strands, away from me, okay, and kind of am holding them, and then it's going to want to twist the whole piece of cordage. When it's together, it will twist it the same way. So I'll try to roll it if I can. My pants are pretty slick. Sometimes I've heard people say that they get a piece of leather or something and then they're able to roll the cordage on the leather. I'm just going to spin it like you see there between my thumb and forefinger, and then hold it and then work it back towards itself. So right up where I started didn't turn out quite so good. It's not as quite as tight a weave as I'd like, but right through there, that's a pretty good weave. And I'll do that for a section here, and then I'll get back with you. Let me do a little bit more here because I'm almost ready for a splice. So there you can see what I've made so far. And then just like in the, let's see here, I set these on the ground like I wasn't supposed to. Just like on the bark cordage that I use for the bow drill, I'm going to use Jamie's splice. I'm going to tuck up into where these meet, a short end that goes with the long end, and the long end which goes with the short end, if that makes sense. And I kind of worked that splice right there. Now I can tell that kind of makes a little bump right there where that splice point is, just because the natural bend of that tucking up in between the two where they go together. But I still think that's a stronger splice point than rather than like on Ray Mears' video, he just tucked the ends, the very ends of the cordage or the strands in to make the cordage, to make the splice. And that's the way I used to do it, but I still, like I said, I think that's a stronger splice right there. And you can kind of, with this particular material, you can just kind of pinch on it and work it in. So I'm just going to keep doing this and hopefully try and keep everything pretty similar, because I want this cordage to be a uniform diameter throughout. And so far it's doing pretty good. Now I'm going to sacrifice some of this maybe and see how strong it is. Well, I don't need to. I was pulling pretty hard there. I mean, that's pretty strong stuff. So, all right, I'm going to make some of this up. Alright guys, sorry about the blaring music in the background. My neighbor, like I said, he's building something. I don't know if he hired somebody or if that's just him out there. But they definitely like their music loud, which is fine. It's middle of the afternoon, we're way out in the country, so big deal. And it's not horrible. Anyway, when you're doing this method, this to me is faster than doing it the other way, the each twist individual. For me, it's faster when I have small, finer cordage like this. But when you're doing this method, and now you're going to start to twist it, and you want to be kind of careful that these are spread out, you know, it doesn't have to be exact, but you want them pretty even. And when you twist it, it will take, or it seems to me like it takes some of these twists out of it. So when you do this twist, it kind of takes some of those twists out. So you want to make sure and keep it, I mean, not every strand has to be twisted exactly the same, but the more uniform you can get this cordage, the stronger and the nicer it is, you know, especially if you're going to be using it for some of the tasks I'm going to be using it for. You want it as smooth and as nice as possible. So this is what we got. I'm going to keep cracking on it. And right now, let's see here, I've got almost 6 feet of cordage right now. So I'll get back with you. So I know, like I said, there's other guys been doing these videos up and they're probably better than mine and stuff, but the reason I wanted to show you this is because I'm going to be doing some projects with this nettle cordage. I've got a bit left over there, and I'm going to be processing it down, making some more cordage. This piece, I want this piece about twice as long for the project that I'm going to do next, and that'll be a separate video. So I'm going to be doing a few different things with this stuff. So anyway, just thought I'd show you my getting started. Take care.